صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. So we said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Muhammad, he gave permission to his companions to leave the city because it was becoming very, very hard, and even Abu Bakr was getting very anxious, and the Prophet told him sallallahu alaihi wasallam that la ta'jal, don't be so much in a hurry. Allah has not given us permission yet. So one day he comes, and it's full, the sun is straight up, and it was at the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and Aisha radiallahu anha was there, and they were surprised when he had come. And when he showed up, he says, As-Suhba ya Rasulullah. I said, Na'am. So at that point, we knew that it was time for them to leave. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was so excited that he wept. And Aisha radiallahu anha says, Wallahi ma ra'aytu rajulan qat يبكي من شدة الفرح. I have never seen a man ever weep from his happiness. He was so happy and he was crying because he was going to be in the Sahba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Also, we remembered how the Quraysh got together and they had these three opinions. The last opinion was the opinion of Abu Jahl when he said, let's get all together and kill him like one man. Apparently, Iblis was there. Shaitan, Iblis was there in the state, he looked like someone from Najd. Yes. And when Abu Jahl gave his opinion, he says, هذا هو الرأي. This is the good opinion. Because now no one can be against you, they're just going to kill him. So we also saw that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he left the room, he left his house, and he recited ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على الصراط المستقيم until he reached وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سجدا ومن خلفهم سجدا. He went in front of them, and he put sand on their heads, and they stayed there looking through the cracks, and they thought that Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was still in his bed until someone came. He said, you fools. In other words, you fools. He left. And all of a sudden they come to their senses, and they find sand on their heads. Everybody has sand, and they all get upset. And we know what happened. They all went. Now they're looking for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has left at night with Sayyidina Abu Bakr, that very night, and they are hiding in Ghar Thawr. And they're waiting for 3 days, and we know how Allah protected them. Even his worst enemies were there protecting him, saying, no, he's not here, go. So this is the point where he leaves, and Suraqa comes, and he is hit with this yaqeen. We know what happened to Suraqa. He falls several times, and at the end he said, this is the Prophet of Allah in his heart. He became a Muslim without saying it, and he asked him for aman. So he asked him for aman, and the Prophet tells him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you leave, we don't want anything from you. When you leave, just tell them that you don't know where we are. So when he left, he told the Quraysh that don't go here. I've covered this ground. And the aman that he gave Suraqa, which is like a letter. One day when they go in to Mecca in the state of victory, was written on a bone, or أو قيل على what was it? On clay. So it was written on clay or on a bone, and that's why we use the sibha from the bones of the camels also, because it is inshallah tahir. So this is where we left off. But something which is very powerful that we have discovered is that the Prophet ﷺ had full yaqeen that he was not going to be touched. He is al-ma'soom in every way. He is the one, he's the immaculate person who is not going to be ever touched, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we have seen that Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was worried and looking around, but Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was walking straight, not moving his head or his eyes. Until he saw Suraqa, and he says a very powerful dua, which we should all remember in case we're in a state of danger. He says, Allahumma kfinahu kayfa shi'ta wa bima shi't. Just memorize this hadith and this dua, and it'll protect you, inshallah. There's a lot of very, very powerful dua. Very powerful dua. Some say, الزلزلة إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها. If you read this surah, Allah will protect you from enemies. So there's a lot of beautiful things that we learn from the Seera, these beautiful hadith and adkar. Allahumma kfinahu kayfa shi'ta wa bima shi't. It's very scary. This one here, I have read some stories from the awliya. It's not possible. I mean, before he finished the word, his enemies were destroyed.
Oh.
Before he said, Allahumma, not even the full thing, Allahumma kfinihi bima shi't. It's very, very scary. So don't use it on anybody. Be careful. It's a very, very powerful dua. Allahumma kfinihi, very, very powerful. So now the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is behind him. The people are behind him, Quraysh, Suraqa, and now they're walking through As-Sahil, that river stream, on the shore of the river stream. And who do they meet? Very famous Ma'bad. Ma'bad. How old is she? I don't know. She old? And this shows you the beauty of these Arabs. You know, they're Jahiliyyah, they have all sorts of bad things. They're mushrikeen and so on and so forth, but they had a lot of akhlaq. That's why when the Prophet came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ, to make more beautiful, more complete makarim al-akhlaq. So here's, why am I saying that? Because Ma'bad was alone, and her house was on the path of the travelers, and she was there to offer the water. Anyone who's passing, not for money, not for business, but as a gesture of hospitality to those who were traveling. And she had a sheep that was very, very thin. And this was the story, obviously. So the Prophet ﷺ, and he was with whom? Abu Bakr and Abdullah ibn Urayqid, who is their guide. So now he's passing through, and they meet with this Ma'bad, and her name is Atika bint Khalid al-Khuzaiyyah, and she offers them water, and the Prophet ﷺ tells her, what is that sheep? She says she's very thin, doesn't have milk, so he passed his hand over her back and her chest, and he made Samma. He said Bismillah, and he read Bada'a, and he made dua, and her chest became filled with milk, and they all drank until they became more than satisfied. They're more than satiated from the drinks of the milk, and on top of that, he left her a big bucket of milk for her and for her husband. So when her husband came, his name is Aktham ibn al-Jun, he said, so what happened? And she told him a beautiful story, and this description of the Prophet ﷺ remains forever in the books of the Seera.
This is usually people say this is the first book description of Seera.
Sallallahu alaihi. It's beautiful.
Yes, beautiful. Yes.
It just blows your mind. I mean, it's worth reading in Arabic, but I will not make it long on you. رجل ظاهر الوضاءة أبلج الوجه حسن الخلق لم تعبه ثجلة ولم تزري به صعلة وسيم قسيم في عينيه دعج وفي إشفاره وطف. It's really beautiful, and it's also the language that she uses is very refined and very profound. Very profound. Refined and profound. I like that. Subhanallah. And then her husband said, this is the man that they were talking about in Quraysh, and this is the man I wanted to befriend. And this reminds us of the word as-suhbah. كنت, and he says, وَهَمَمْتُ أَنْ أُصْحِبَهُ, to be his
companion.
Sahba is what? What is sahba? Sahba is at least to see him once, even if it's from far. Or even if he sees you and you didn't see him. This is sahba. If he sees you and you didn't see him, this is sahba. And that is the barakah of the Sahaba, of the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's sufficient for you to, I think we mentioned last week how Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma told Sayyidina Umar, "Ya Umar, why are you so sad?" He's about to die. He's just been stabbed. He says, "صاحبت محمدا فأحسنت صحبته وفرقته وهو راض عنك." That's good enough. ثم صاحبت أبا بكر وأحسنت صحبته وفرقته وهو راض عنك. The صحبة is something very powerful. So he's speaking about the صحبة that he had wished, which he didn't at this point. But before he left, if you have to leave, you have to leave. Jazakallah. Allah yarda alayka Sidi Barra. So before he left, he gave bay'ah to Ma'bad. She became a Muslim. Allahu Akbar. This is a very beautiful thing. And now they are arriving to Quba. When they arrived to Quba, they were all waiting for him. And who was waiting for him? Not just the Muhajirin, not just the Ansar, but also the Muhajirin who had left before. Because others have left before the Prophet ﷺ and they have reached. And now they're waiting for him. Every day they come out and they wait for him from Fajr to Dhuhr until it becomes really warm and they cannot stand there with the heat. And they go back. And all of a sudden, that one day when he arrives, they go back and the Yahudi comes on his fortress and he says, "Ya Bani Qila, هذا صاحبكم." And in one narration, هذا جدكم. So they come and they run all dressed up with their... You have to leave? So they all come down to meet him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with the most beautiful clothing, with their shields, with their swords, and they come very proudly and they're singing, and he stays there for how long? He stays there for the two opinions. One is 4 days or 5 days, and the other one is 14 days. And he reaches Quba or Medina on the same day on which he was born. Rabi' al-Awwal, Thani Ashar Rabi' al-Awwal. This is the opinion that we are very emotional about. And he stays there on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and on Friday he moves out. He moves out and he goes towards Medina. So he's moving north. And just about 300 meters later, the adhan is called and it's time for Jumu'ah. It's Yawm al-Jumu'ah. And on his way there, his companions are pulling him from his leash. They're pushing each other. Everyone wants to have his turn to pull the leash of the Prophet.
At that time, azan was called?
Huh?
At that time, in the Quba, azan was called?
Yes. In 200 meters from Quba.
Oh.
Okay? And this was trying to remember the name of their tribe, and this was from his generosity. When he went to Quba, he spent time in what's the name? Bismillah, sallallahu wasallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad. In the house, in the tribe, or the home of Kulthum ibn Hadm, which was, if you look at the Qibla, which was on the right. He stayed there. He lived there with someone in his family, and when he got off, he would spend the time with another house, which is the house of Sa'd ibn Khaythama, and sometimes they used to call it Bayt al-Uzzab. So there were two homes, one where he spent the night, and the other one where he met with the companions. Bayt al-Uzzab, so that people come in and out. Bayt al-Uzzab means people that are not married, so that no woman is there. The people can come in and out unconstrained. So he comes there, and I'm saying how generous he was. So he comes to Quba and he's giving time to everyone. He spends time with Ibn Hadm and Ibn Sa'd, the house of Sa'd. And when he leaves, he spends time with the other tribe outside of Quba. So that's where he calls the adhan. So he's giving everyone their the honor and that house, that place where they prayed, was on Wadi Ranuna. If you go there today, as you come from the masjid, you will find like a little... The roads are straight, but where the masjid is like a valley, and that was the river of Ranuna, and Ranuna is still there. And I don't know, when was it? 90 in the 90s when I was going there, it was not renovated, and the mosque was there. That mosque, there was a renovation, but the renovation was exactly where The Prophet prayed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today, if you go there, they will proudly tell you this is where the Prophet prayed al-Jumu'ah. But the truth is, where he prayed became the parking. And behind it is the masjid. Don't be upset.
Parking and also my shopping complex.
I don't know. I didn't see the shopping because
Shopping is also there.
it's there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's leave it. So now, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's another opinion that says that he spent 14 days, and that's in Bukhari and Muslim. So it's very and if it is the correct opinion, that he did not come on Rabi' al-Awwal, 12th day of Rabi' al-Awwal. So as I said, our emotional attachment to the first riwayah, which all the Seer quotes, is what we like to quote. So he spends 14 days and he moves on the day of Friday, and he prays Jumu'ah there. So he prays Jumu'ah, and then he moves to Medina. And as he moves again, everyone tries to pull the leash. So we have Utban ibn Malik. This is the first person from the tribe of Bani Salim. He's pulling, and the Prophet ﷺ tells him, "خَلُّوا سَبِيلَهَا فَإِنَّهَا مَأْمُورَةٌ." This camel is ordered by Allah. She will find where the mosque will be. We're moving. The first thing that we are going to do is establish the house of Allah. And then he keeps going, and someone else comes. And this time is Sa'd ibn Ubadah from Bani al-Najjar. So this is from his mother's, his uncle from his mother's side. أخواله من أمه. So he tells him the same thing. No, leave it. فإنها مأمورة. And he keeps going until another Najjar, Banu Najjar, also calls him, Abdullah ibn Rawaha, and he tells him the same thing, until the point where the camel barakats. And she does, you know how difficult it is for her to sit? She does that with him on his back, and then he stays there for a minute, not leaving her. She stood up and she moved a little bit back and forth, and she went right back and she did her sitting down, and that's where it was. At that point, Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, he did something very intelligent. He didn't take any permission. He just took his luggage and he ran to his house. He put it in his house. And he took his camel and he put it in his house. And then they told him, "Where are you going to stay?" "Ya Rasulullah, so where are you deciding to stay?" He says, "The man follows wherever al-mar'u ma'a rahlihi." The man goes with his luggage. So he goes with his luggage, and so it's very intelligent from Abu Ayyub, and he's also from al-Najjar. So he's also from his family of the Prophet from his mother's side. And as he comes in, remember when he came into Quba, everyone is singing. And at that, when he came into Quba, and they sing طَلَعَ الْبَدْرُ عَلَيْنَا أو أَقَامَ الْبَدْرُ عَلَيْنَا, they didn't know who the Prophet was. So here is Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're together. Of course, the beauty of Sayyidina Muhammad is unequaled, but they're not sure, and they're both dressed very humbly. And they sit down underneath a tree, and they're covered by a shade. And we know that the shade always covers the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If it's not the shade of the cloud, it's the shade of the tree. So they're sitting under the shade of the tree, and Abu Bakr is standing up and he's talking. They think it's him, and all of a sudden the shade moves. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr removes his clothes and he covers the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and now they know who he was, and they sing. Now they're excited. This is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They say, "طَلَعَ الْبَدْرُ عَلَيْنَا," and they're doing this. Now that they have arrived to the house, to the place where the mosque is going to be built, the neighbors are excited. The neighbors where the mosque is going to be built are excited, and they are singing. نحن جوار من بني النجار يا حبذا محمد من جار. We are the neighbors. And apparently from what I've read before, these are sang by younger girls. And the Prophet ﷺ comes to them and he tells them, أتحبونني? You're excited because you love me? أتحبونني? And they say, and they say, of course, أي والله. And he tells them, وأنا والله أحبكم. 3 times he says, and me by Allah, Assalamu alaikum, Allah yahfadkum, Allah yarda alaikum. And there's a narration where he says, Allahu ya'lamu anna qalbi yuhibbukunna. And Allah knows that my heart loves you. And he said this 3 times. So 2 things. One thing is that they can sing. They can express their emotions, and this is the custom of many customs, many cultures, that they sing when they're happy. And the other one is the expression of love. Is you say it. You say it how it is. Especially for the Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How can we not express our love to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? So he's there, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and now they're starting to build the masjid. That very night, what happened? As soon as he goes into the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, what's his name? Zayd ibn Thabit comes with a big tray of food. And he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, this is from my mother. Arsalat biha ummi. And he says, Barakallahu fiqh. So he sits, he invites all his companions, they eat. And before it's done, someone else comes with another tray. And another tray. And another tray. So they really, really treat him. And after that point, Sa'd ibn Ubadah sends him a tray every day. So he's really, really, really treated royally. They don't leave him alone, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they're starting to dig the trees. And there was as well some graves of the mushrikeen that they have removed. And that land belonged to 2 people, Sahl and Suhail. They were orphans. And he sent Abu Bakr to buy it. And they refused. They said, we'll give it to you, Ya Rasulullah. He says, no. They insisted, and he bought it. And it's Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu who paid for it. We'll stop here, inshallah, and we'll continue this next time. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina wa nabiyina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.